Hey everybody, welcome back in to the Molasses Report. Today, I want to talk to you about something kind of personal. Falling back in love with the sport that you used to play. For me, that's soccer and cross country. Um, I played both for years and as a teenager. I loved the adrenaline, the team, the freedom of the trail. But somewhere along the way, adulthood came to play with work, responsibilities, burnout. And suddenly, I was out of the game. Until recently, when I found myself back on the field and back on the trail. And it hit me. I still love this. There's something magical about reconnecting with a part of yourself you thought you'd left behind. And honestly, after the grind of adult life, reconnecting with these sports feels like a reset button. The other day, I went for a casual pickup soccer game. Just, you know, play, quick game, see what's happening. But something came back where that first touch of the ball, it brought back all the joy I forgot I used to love about this. It's almost like, my body remembered before my brain did. The thrill, the adrenaline, the connection with a team, it all came rushing back. And I mean, I again began to realize that I still love soccer. And it doesn't matter if I'm out of practice or a lot slower than I used to be. It's the joy of movement and the movement that matters, especially when burnout has made me forget what it feels to do something purely for myself. There's something nobody tells you about growing up. Sometimes you don't quit the things you love, you just stop showing up. When I think about soccer, I don't remember making some grand decision like, I'm done forever, I'm never going to come back to this, etc. Life just sort of got louder. School became work, practice became overtime, weekends became errands. And in that transition, the thing that once made me feel alive slowly disappeared from my calendar. But not because I stopped loving it, but because I got really good at convincing myself that productivity managed more than passion. As an adult, you start measuring days differently. When you're a kid, success is scoring that goal, running a new personal best in a 5K, making varsity, laughing on a bus ride home after a win. But when you grow up, it's answering emails, paying bills, making deadlines, honestly, just getting through the week. And don't get me wrong, those things matter and should be celebrated. But if you're not careful, your entire identity can become wrapped up in responsibility. You stop asking yourself, what makes you happy? And you start asking, what needs to get done? Every single day. Eventually, months pass, then years. And one day you realize you've become incredibly efficient at surviving, but not very good at living. I think that's why returning to a childhood sport feels so emotional, because you're not just returning to a game, you're returning to a version of yourself. The version that existed before performance reviews, before rent payments, before burnout, before stress became normal. For 1 hour on that field, I wasn't thinking about work. I wasn't thinking about obligations. I wasn't thinking about the future. I was just playing. And that feeling, that's worth protecting. Also, recently, I had a weird moment where I was warming up for a run, you know, rolling out the ankle, making sure it was stretched out properly. And I caught myself smiling, not because I was fast or anything like that, because believe me, I am not. But for a split second, I felt like I was 16 again. And it made me wonder, what would teenage me think if she saw me now? Would she be impressed? Maybe. Would she think I'm successful? Maybe. But I think I'd ask a different question. She'd probably ask, do we still run? That's it. Not what our salary is, not what title we have, not how many emails we answer, but do we still play? Do we still do the things we love? And that question hit me harder than I would have expected because somewhere along the way, I started believing that adulthood meant sacrificing hobbies, that growing up meant being serious all the time, that fun was something you earned after work was completely done. But that's really just backwards because fun isn't a reward, it's fuel. It's the things we love giving us energy for everything else: the run, the soccer game, the hike, surfing, the basketball game, the bike rides with friends. Those things aren't distractions from life, they are life. And I think a lot of us forget this. I know I did. Because I don't think burnout is just being tired. Burnout is forgetting who you are. When you're burnt out, you stop doing things because you enjoy them. You only do things because they're required of you. Everything becomes a transaction. You wake up, work, eat, sleep, repeat. And after enough repetition, life starts to feel smaller. Not worse, but smaller. Your world begins to shrink to obligations. That's why I think stepping back onto a soccer field felt so powerful. Not because I was suddenly a world class athlete again, but because it reminded me I was still a person with interests, passions, dreams, goals, a person who once loved chasing a ball around a field for absolutely no reason other than it was fun. A burnout tells you that joy is optional, but joy is necessary. The people who thrive long term aren't the people who work the hardest every second of every day. They're the people who maintain pieces of themselves outside of work. And for me, soccer and running became that reminder. A reminder that I'm more than my job, more than my productivity, more than my responsibilities. I mean, going back a few months, let me tell you about my first 5K I did in years. I was sort of feeling nostalgic, thinking, oh yeah, I used to be a runner. I got this. Spoiler alert, I did not. I started strong, maybe too strong, passing a few people and feeling that familiar runner's high until mile 2. Suddenly, my legs felt like concrete. My lungs were screaming, and my pace, an absolute disaster. And here's the hilarious part, though. Runners I used to breeze past in high school, yes, the ones I used to beat, were now zooming by me like I was standing still. I thought, wait, did I just get slower, or did everybody else get faster? I mean, turns out a little bit of both. And it's also funny. By mile 3, I officially did not finish. I walked the last part proud and exhausted. Why? Because the thrill, the adrenaline, the feeling of pushing myself, it was all still there. Rediscovering a sport like this also reminded me that growth doesn't always look like perfection. Burnout might slow you down, but joy, passion, and resilience never truly leave you. You just have to lace up your shoes and show up. Falling back in love with the sport teaches some unexpected lessons. 1. Joy is timeless. You can leave a passion behind, but it doesn't leave you. 2. Your body will remember. Muscle memory and endurance come back in surprising ways. 3. Comparison kills joy. You might not run as fast as before, but the joy is in the experience. Growth is messy. You'll be slower, you'll be rusty, you'll make a few mistakes. And burnout doesn't define you. Even exhausted or stressed, reconnecting with something you love can reset your perspective. And it's funny, the people you used to beat are now faster. You laugh, marvel, and keep going anyway. That's pure joy. And of course, humor and everything. Kicking a soccer ball and completely missing reminds me how good I actually used to be. Running trails and thinking, oh, this is easy, only to realize my lungs have other plans. Seeing former competitors fly past me while I walk and think, well, this is a little humbling. Even in the midst of burnout, the sport doesn't care if you're rusty. It wants you there. But you're going to stumble, you'll fall, you'll laugh a little bit, and you'll still feel alive. If you want to reconnect with the sport, here's the thing. I say start small. Short runs, casual pickup games, no pressure. Don't put any pressure on it. Find your community. Figure out some old teammates. Pick up games. Find a new local club. And celebrate progress. Forget your past persona. Celebrate every small victory. And laugh at yourself, because rustiness is all part of the process. So here's the takeaway. Falling back in love with the sport isn't just about running or scoring goals. It's about reconnecting with yourself. It's about growth, joy, and rediscovery. And laughing at how the people you once beat are now faster than you. It's about learning that burnout slows you down, but passion and resilience don't disappear. Think about a sport or an activity you loved as a kid. Could you fall back in love with it today? Lace up your shoes, grab a ball, step onto a trail, whatever it is, and just try. That love is still there. You just have to show up for it. Thanks for listening to the Molasses Report. Stay playful, stay curious, and never underestimate the joy of falling back in love with yourself, even when the growth, burnout, and humility are all part of the journey. I'll see you guys next week.